Okay. And you are too busy, but that's part of the reason why you need to commit this hour. Okay. Look at it that way. Don't use the busyness as an excuse not to do this. Use the busyness as the reason to invest the time in this.
Bam!
There it is. I wanted a mic drop. I couldn't do it myself. Boom.
There you go. Boom.
Building a successful real estate career requires you to adapt, pivot, and constantly master new skills.
We're Katie and Daniel Steinfeld. We've built our own innovative brokerage, and in this podcast, we've assembled actionable tips and strategies that you can implement to take your business to its maximum potential.
It's time to level up. Level up. Level up.
Hello, everybody. Level Up is back. Another episode. And this is a kickoff episode for the second annual OTB 100. So we're talking all one of our favorite times of the year. I guess you could say that. The last 100 days of 2021, and it is starting in a week, which means we're starting the countdown.
That's right. Well, it's kind of like our favorite last third of the year. Makes no sense.
How many are there?
Yeah, but it's exciting. I love this part of the year, just planning for 2022 and doing it in September when you've got the time to actually think things through and not rush into January feeling like you don't know what you're doing and wanting to put a quick plan into place. So this is the time to do it.
This is also hopefully for anybody who has kids, the time where it really feels like you can get work done finally. If your kids finally went back to school.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think most of us have heard the whole phrase, you need to work not only in with your business, but also within your business in terms of the systems and strategies you want to put in place to just make you that much more productive. And if you guys can dedicate an hour a week to following along with this last 100 days, I think you're going to feel like you're really you've set yourself up on the right path for 2022.
Absolutely. So for those of you who were not a part of the OTB 100 last year, this episode is just going to give you a little breakdown of what it's all about. We're not going to dive too deeply into anything because we've got 100 days of deep dives coming up. So this is some treading, some shallow diving, not a deep dive. But
you're dipping your toe into the water.
Yeah, just see how the water is. It's great. It's fantastic.
It's warm. It's
still warm now. Anyway, so we basically have identified there's no science to the 100 days other than it's catchy, and this definitely gives you enough time to do things the right way. I think a lot of people, like you said, will start doing their planning in the month leading up to the new year, or even I know how it was for me, which I can talk about later. I remember we used to plan at our old business our year once the year started, which was genius. So the more time you have ahead of time to get things in place, the better. And the OTB 100 isn't just about your plan. That's just part of it. It's about actually setting everything in motion with your systems so that you can get things going. So how are we going to start this all off next week? We're not going to do the whole schedule, but what are we starting with?
Yeah, well, so we kind of switched things up from last year because last year we went right into the annual plan. And obviously that's important to start out with, just to understand where you want to go, what's going on right now, and how you're going to accomplish your goals. But we realized that there were a lot of ideas that were circulating in terms of how to get your leads, how to build your business. And everybody has their own way of focusing on that. So before we go into the annual plan, we just wanted to delve deeper into all of the ways that you could consider growing your business, and not take those ways and put them into your business plan, but choose the ones that are going to make sense for you and use those to incorporate into your annual plan for the following week. So I'm really excited to incorporate this part of it because I think this is just going to bring that much more focus to people's planning.
Yeah, I think we've learned over the course of this year, growing our brokerage, having a lot more people join us, we go through a version of this plan with every new agent we bring on, and we go through the annual planning process with them as well at this time. So we'll be doing this as a mirror of the program with our own brokerage. But we've learned, even with ourselves, that just jumping right in, especially if you're new or thinking about pivoting or anything like that, it's tough to just say, okay, here's what I want to do this year, because it might be what you're thinking you want, or you might not know for sure, but you're being told, we'll have a plan already. So that is a really important adjustment we made to the program this year, so that you can get your bearings, you can start to get your head in the game and really be ready to put those, tangible measurables, the KPIs, whatever you want to call them. You're just going to put the numbers and the goals on a piece of paper, but you're going to have a greater idea of what those should look like for you, instead of just whatever you come up with first. I guess this is my plan for the year. It's kind of a big deal. You don't want to rush.
No, you don't. And I think a lot of people make the mistake of going into a year with a plan and not really thinking about if it makes sense for them, if it's something that they actually enjoy doing, or are you going to pivot in 3 months' time because you realize that it's not something that is good for you. And there's always times where you're going to do that. But I think if you can start out with the most focused way, and you've given some very good thought as to what makes sense for you, it's just going to make you that much more successful. So that part is really important, and just the brainstorming of different ways that you can grow your business and actually have conversations with people. Those are the kinds of discussions we're going to be having in week 1. So we're going to be giving you guys ideas if you're in your first year and you're like, I don't even know how to grow my business, I don't know where to start. Those are the things that we're going to be discussing. So we're really looking forward to, and like this year, it's also important to note, we're putting this into, we've got our Level Up community, but we've also got another community for newer registrants. And this is the year that we're putting it into this group, because all of us come out of our courses and we're like, where do we start? What do we do? I don't even know the first place to go. So we thought, you know what, this year, let's bring it over to that group as well and help people out when they're first starting their careers.
Did you say what the name of the group was? I think you just teased that there's a group.
I don't think I did.
It's the Real Estate Road, folks. The Real Estate Road. So if you're a member of that, we do have a lot of members of the Level Up community who have jumped over and joined Real Estate Road as well. Not to worry though, if you're in the Level Up community, you will still get all the content. You will still be hearing all about it on the podcast. Doesn't mean you're not welcome over there. So feel free to jump in headfirst to that as well. There's a lot of
come on over
diving references I'm making today. Deep dives, dip your toe head first. You better get your bathing suit on for next week's session. God knows what we're gonna have.
Let's just show up in our bathing suits.
That would be kind of fun, because summer's like over. I think today's the last day of summer. Isn't it? Is it the 21st that
I think
fall
so.
starts?
That's true.
Kind of
sad.
It is kind of sad. Debbie Downer. Anyway, so
fall's fun though. I like fall. I'm
glad. I don't mind fall. I'm not a winter. I mean, fall's just closer to winter for me. Fall's like a Wednesday. Fall's the hump day of the year. So I think what's important here as we get started with this is, even right now, start taking the time to do that softer thinking, that self-reflection, that criticism of how you've been going. And I don't mean criticism in knock yourself down, but just be critical of the work you're doing, and start to think about what you feel merits improvement and growth, and what maybe has been missing that you're going to want to focus on in the year ahead, because that's how we're going to start things off. There's going to be plenty of time for the tangible, really getting your hands dirty stuff. But if you jump right into that, you miss the whole point.
Yeah.
And so that's how we're going to start things off. And then we're going to jump in to the meat and potatoes of the OTB 100, which will then become
the deep end. You're going into the deep end.
I'm going to skinny dip after that. Oh, wow. That face is that scary? I guess that would be scary. So that at that point, we're going to be down to the OTB 93, right? So once we hit the OTB 93 is when we start to get pen to paper a little bit more and start formulating the actual plan that will become your 2022 and maybe beyond, right? Like this doesn't need to be your, once we hit the next year, OTB 100, you scrap everything and start focusing on a new plan. But that's when we're really going to get into things like the numbers, and we're going to open up talking about not just the numbers and the money you hope to make and the number of transactions and things like that, but starting to come up with the ideas and turn what you thought your focus is going to be into the actual brainstorm, tangible tactics that you're going to be able to implement in the year ahead.
Yeah. And we always talk, and even in the annual plan, about breaking down your goals into little achievable pieces. And really, this is what the OTB 100 is. It's
Sizable
going week
chunks.
by week, sizable chunks. Yeah. But it's all of the things. And I really think it's like a culmination of all of the aspects of your business that a lot of us always say, yeah, I've been meaning to get to that. Like your CRM or your branding or your finances. All of these things are like nice to haves that are kind of like always in the back of your head, but because you're so busy, you haven't been able to actually work on them. And so this is why we're really strategic in the topics we're talking about, because these are the things that I think most of us need to put into our business or need to tweak or improve in order to keep our business running well.
Right. Like they're no longer a nice to have for you. If they've been a nice to have, they are a need to have. You've got to, if you don't have this stuff, you're not going to succeed. At least to the degree that you are hoping. I shouldn't say that. It's not that you're not well, but
you're going to fail miserably. You might as well just get out of the industry.
Get out of the pool. Get out of the pool.
Put your bathing suit back on.
Put your bathing suit back on. Get in the car and drive away from the water. No,
failed.
That's the thing though. Even in the overall look at this, whether it's the OTB 100, your annual plan, whatever, there shouldn't be a success and failure attitude towards things. Like it's always going to be the progress that you're making, but it's the degree to which you're able to get where you want to be. And by putting these pieces in place, whether it is your budgeting, whether it's your marketing plan, your CRM, whatever strategy that you are putting in there, these systems are what allow you to do that stuff better, right? And I think for a lot of people, ourselves included, we go through kind of sprinkling in systems here and there, and we try them, we try new ones. We, like you said, some of them are just kind of nice to haves where we know we can survive without them, and we have. But once you commit to doing them and get the wheels in motion, it makes everything so much easier. It allows you to focus your time so that you're not reinventing the same mundane tasks over and over again when they could have been automated or just no-brainers that are part of your day every day.
Yeah, exactly. So if you guys are ready, if you guys can commit an hour a week to just putting these different learnings into practice, I guarantee you 2022 is going to be your best year yet.
I wanted to know what the guarantee was going to be there. That was getting strong. Like for just an hour a week, we guarantee. We're like an infomercial, even
for
though
the
we're not
low price
anything.
of $9.99 per month. No, doesn't cost you anything. Only your time, which I know is valuable. But anybody can spare an hour a week. Anybody. I don't care how busy you are.
My biggest pet peeve on earth is people who say they're too busy. We're all busy, okay? And you are too busy, but that's part of the reason why you need to commit this hour, okay? Look at it that way. Don't use the busyness as an excuse not to do this. Use the busyness as the reason to invest the time in this.
Bam!
There it is. I wanted a mic drop. I couldn't do it myself. Boom.
There you go. Boom.
And
sound effect.
So wear your water wings for the first session, but after that, we're taking them off. We're going to give you a flutter board after that, and then flippers, and then you're going to be water skiing by the end of this.
Without your bathing suit on.
That happened. That happened to me. Was that the first time I ever met your dad? That wouldn't have been, was it?
No.
So the funny story there is I'm not a good, and still to this day, I'm not good at water skiing. I can get up like once in a while. The most recent attempt was an epic fail. But wasn't
it on the tube though that you lost your bathing suit?
Was it on the tube?
I don't know. I
How would the
was.
water have pulled my bathing suit? What was I wearing it like around my
No, because
toes?
like when you're dragging, like when you can't like get onto the tube and you're just kind of dragging and all the water's
Oh,
like
was I
kinda
hanging from the tube?
or maybe you flipped off and the impact like made your
Yeah, I
bathing
mean
suit
that. Well,
fly
yeah,
off.
everyone kind of knows the end of the story now, though. Yeah, I was being dragged by. I guess it's like a rite of passage for boyfriends you had, maybe.
I
To,
think it's
like,
just a rite of passage for anybody that sets foot on my dad's boat. Like
yeah,
I don't
you've
think
got
I
to
don't
you've
think
got to
it's
be dragged at high speeds on something behind it. And anyway, I guess I didn't calculate how powerful the water would be if I was dragging, and it dragged my bathing suit right off. So it is what it is.
I feel like you flipped off and that's when your bathing suit fell off because that's usually where people lose their bathing suits.
One day I'll tell the real story, that it was all deliberate. It was a trick bathing suit. This was all just a way to have a story for 25 years. I'm just a big exhibitionist.
All right. There you go, folks.
So the OTB 100, OTB, by the way, stands for on the block. We always say OTB 100 and people are like, what's OTB like? Oh,
Yeah.
I don't even know what else that's in. Over the board.
Over the board.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So,
but yeah, so we're doing that. The OTB 100 starts next week. Get your
So
popcorn
excited.
ready. Get
Yeah.
your popcorn ready.
yeah. And we'll put the link to the group in the show notes if you want to join that. We have the agenda up there if you want, or if you want to follow us on our Instagram accounts. We've also posted the agenda up there in one of our posts. So yay. I'm so excited for this. It'll be good.
Spoiler alert, like it isn't, we just mentioned the first 2 or 3 sessions, right? There's 13 of them. So we
13.
we do get into this pretty heavy, but now you got to go see what it's all about.
That's right.
Things and stuff
All right.
coming up. All right.
That's right.
We done. This is a quick episode because we're just whetting your appetite. That's wet with a WH. Not with a W.
All right, guys. See you next week for the
Yeah.
OTB 100. Woo! Goodbye.
Echo. Bye.
Level up.